y'all just hit me in that moment. I'm a mama of two. What is up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. I am Anna Monet. If you're new here, then I'm so glad you decided to join. And if you're returning, what's up? I'm glad you're back. It has been a little minute since I said that intro, and I'm so proud of myself for saying it right the first time. Clearly, I am pumping right now. I am going to give y'all all the deets on our testimony birth story that happened last week. My husband came in here thinking something was wrong because I was bawling, crying uncontrollably out of gratefulness. This week has truly been a week that has strengthened our faith, strengthened our family, strengthened me and my husband's relationship. I didn't plan on turning on the camera just now, but I feel like God was telling me to turn on the camera. Out of obedience, here we are. Let's do my skincare. Yes, my baby. You want to get down, please? All right, there'll probably be many more interruptions while we do this. First and foremost, I'm gonna just say, don't say nothing about my nails. Don't say nothing about my nails. Don't say nothing about my nails. Actually, the night I went into labor, I tried doing the, what's it called? The glue brush on this hand and the regular glue stick that press-on nails come with on this hand. Clearly there's a winner. For those of you who are new here, I made it to, 40 weeks and 3 days in my pregnancy with my second child. I now have a week-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. And here she is now. Hey, beautiful. You got a piece of cereal on your face. I'm going to be sure to cut out a lot of this. I had so many labor scares from like week 37 on. We went from thinking he was going to come early to being like, okay, where you at? Like, why aren't you here yet? I even went so far as to, started a mini vlog series on Instagram and TikTok, and I think I posted them to YouTube as well. But it was a mini vlog series of like me just vlogging every day until I went into labor. And I ended up going to 11 days when I really thought it was only gonna be like maybe 5 days at the most. And that is not what happened. Baby boy was like, look, I've been playing tricks on y'all this whole time, okay? I am gonna try this chili stuff. It's like a body mask that is firming. We're gonna try to use this on my stomach, and I'll let y'all see the results and let y'all know if it works. I'm sorry. So I began talking to my doctor about getting induced. They couldn't get me an appointment for, I think it was like until after Monday. And so she was like, you know what, if you begin to have some of those contractions again, regardless of whether they are intense enough or close enough, just go ahead and come in and we'll get you admitted in. So that's exactly what I did. That night I began to have contractions again. They were stronger than they had ever been, but they were very irregular. They began to get like 6 minutes apart. So I was like, okay, maybe I actually am going into labor this time, because they were intense and they were getting close. However, on the way to the hospital, which was 30 minutes away from us, on the way to the hospital, they started to slow down. And I was like, no, I hope they don't turn me away. Get there. And I don't know if it was just being in the hospital, like that atmosphere or what, but the contractions began to get closer and get even stronger. But the only reason they kept me was because his heart rate was dropping after every single contraction. Hold on, my baby. Let's get you swaddled. His heart rate was going back up on his own. It only dropped for like 1 to 2 seconds after every single contraction, but they wanted to keep me so they can monitor that. And then all of a sudden, maybe about 2.5 hours later, I think his heart rate dropped and it stayed down. So as soon as his heart rate dropped, the nurse was in there trying to put me in different positions to maybe get him more comfortable, hoping that it would go back up. But she had already called the doctor, and the doctor said that, you know, let's go ahead and start preparing for a C-section just in case the different positions don't work. So they started preparing. And me and my husband, we began to pray. I brought blessed oil with me because I was like, I'm not going to the hospital without my blessed oil. This is too much of a serious experience for me to be walking around without blessed oil. Thankfully, they were not putting me under general anesthesia, because if I was under general anesthesia, my husband was not going to be able. I don't want to cry. My husband was not going to be able to be back there during the C-section. Within like 7 minutes, I was getting my epidural. And baby boy was born at 4:09 a.m. on Mother's Day. You know, like when your baby is born and you're looking for that first cry. I heard that cry and I was like, oh my goodness. It all just hit me in that moment. Like, I'm a mama of two. I'm a mama of two. They began to get him cleaned up and everything, and they took pictures of him, and found out that he had swallowed some meconium. So they took him back to the NICU. Thankfully, I had a lot of faith that carried me even in that moment. I know my husband, he actually got to witness those first few hours of Caleb being in the NICU. The doctors in the NICU were like, we're going to try to help him out, but his condition is so bad right now, we don't even think that we'll be able to keep him here. We're probably going to ship him to another children's hospital that can better take care of him by the end of the night. And we immediately updated family. Family updated our church family. So many people were praying for my baby boy. But even in the midst of this, he was trying to be strong for me, because I had just not only gone through that traumatic experience, I was like in and out of it. And you can see in the video footage where I was just, I like was not there. And I was trying so hard. I won't say I wasn't there, but it was like my body was trying not to be there, but I was fighting so hard to be there, because you got doctors and nurses coming in, talking to you, giving you all this information, giving you an update on the baby, giving you an update on yourself, letting you know, like, having to do paper. It was so much. So much, so many questions, so much for people to explain. I recorded it partially because I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch this back and hear what these doctors are actually saying. But then also, I immediately knew that this was going to be a testimony that I was going to have to tell. So let me document this also, so that I have something to show, like, of how God is turning this around. Because one thing I do know, I knew my baby boy was going to make it. I knew it was going to be a tough time, but I also knew my baby boy was going to make it. Just like I knew with Brielle when I had to do an emergency C-section with her. I knew she was going to make it. I wasn't scared. I wasn't worried. Anxious? Yes. But there was no fear. God cast out all fear when it came to both of my emergency C-sections, and I am so grateful for that. When I got to see him for the first time, tears rolled down my eyes. When I got to hold him for the first time a few days later, you know what it's like to have a baby and to not be able to hold them for days? That was such a emotional time, an emotional moment. I told my husband the day before I even got to hold him, I was like, hey, when I get to hold him for the first time, I want you to record. And I was crying so uncontrollably. I just told him to turn the camera off. Turn the camera off, because I can't do this on camera. I was doing such an ugly cry. I was trying so hard to keep quiet, because we were in the NICU with other babies and other babies were sleeping and stuff. But whoo, talk about grateful. Oh my Lord. He went from being completely supported by an oxygen machine to using a CPAP machine, which was a little bit of pressure of oxygen in his nose. And then they took him off of that so he could breathe room air. He went almost 24 hours before they were like, no, we're going to have to put the nasal cannula in, which is similar to the CPAP machine, but it's smaller. And instead of pushing oxygen into his nose, it was just like a flow of oxygen. That's how they described it. So that happened. And then by the next morning, he was breathing room air again, and doctor said if he did that for 24 hours, he would be able to go home. Now, I will say by the end of that day, the nurse at the end of her shift was like, we might have to keep him one more night. And immediately I was like, no, you're not keeping him one more night. My God is going to make sure that he is going home with us tomorrow, because tomorrow was going to be Friday and my mom and grandmother were leaving on Saturday. We were going to spend that Friday night in the comfort of our home with both of my children and my mother and grandmother, comfortable, thankful, and completely healed. I got up that next morning and prophetically just began to pack up. We hadn't heard anything from the doctors yet, but I just prophetically began to pack up the room because there was no need for us to stay another night. And I will also say I was thankful because at that hospital I got discharged on Wednesday, but the hospital has this thing where if your baby is in the NICU, I don't know if other hospitals do this, but at our hospital, if your baby is in the NICU and they have some beds available, they will um allow you to have a courtesy stay where you just get to stay there in the hospital until your baby goes home. So we end up spending 2 nights of courtesy stay in the hospital so that we could be right down the hall from our baby. And we were cleared to go home Friday morning. Honestly, it was a new doctor. The doctor who had been caring for him all day, her last day for that week was Thursday. And so she let us know and let us know that the doctor who was coming in on Friday was, great, and just giving us this spiel on him. And first time we met him, he seemed so cool and laid back, and you could tell he knew what he was talking about. So I had a lot of confidence. But he was like, honestly, I think he can go home, but I just wanted to see how y'all feel about taking him home. Are you comfortable taking him home? He was like, yes. Immediately, yes. And he said, okay, well, you can take him home today. Let's get your discharge papers ready. And we got to go home on Friday afternoon. And I'll also say, me and my husband were so confident that he was going to go home on Friday that we made Thursday night like a little date night in the hospital room. We went to the gas station and got a whole bunch of junk food and snacks and stuff for to support me pumping. We started on that show Forever, which we love. Right now, I'm recording this on a Sunday, the Sunday after, and I think we're on the last episode, and I'm so upset because I'm excited to see like what happens, but I'm already upset because we love the show. We hear that the ending is really great. Apparently they've been cleared for season 2, but I want season 2 now. I hate in 2025, I hate when I have to wait for a season to come. Like, what? Anyway, I think I've said everything. I know this video has been a little chaotic. My videos from here on out might be a little more chaotic for the next couple of weeks. God did his big one. There were so many prayers and everything going up for our baby boy. And one thing that every doctor, day doctor, night doctor, every nurse who cared for Caleb said every time we went in there was, he's recovering a lot faster than we thought he would. Whereas they thought they weren't even going to be able to care for him in our hospital and that he might be in a NICU for 2 weeks minimum. He ended up staying at the hospital we were at and only being in the NICU for 5 days. I'm grateful to God. I won't even say that I wish this didn't happen. I know that this testimony is going to bless other moms. It's going to bless his life. We get to go to NICU reunions now. Okay. So my husband just brought me my push gift. And I don't even remember where we left off. It is not lost on me that God is a healer, that he is a way maker, and this testimony of his life, of how prayer works, of how he came into this world, of how all of the pregnancy, I mean, not the pregnancy, of all of the labor scares have defined his personality already. All of that together is for a reason and for a purpose. And so I can't wait for you all to follow along this journey of how Caleb is going to be such a blessing to not only our family, but to this world. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I hope you know that I love you so, so much, but I hope you know that God loves you even more. Until next time, y'all. Bye. Loving you is like food to my soul. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.